from the University of Bologna. I start by thanking the organizers and the colleagues who will speak and here during the conference. Today I present an investigation into the gender and content biases of ChatGPT-4o, one of the last iterations of OpenAI's multimodal AI model. This study explores how the model moderates and generates content, revealing significant disparities in its handling of various sensitive topics. Specifically, we examine its treatment of sexual content, nudity, violence, also using gender-specific prompts. The findings suggest that ChatGPT-4o applies stricter censorship to sexual content and female-specific topics than to violent or male-oriented ones. This analysis aims to underscore the need for balanced and ethical approaches to AI moderation, transcending reactive measures influenced by societal or corporate pressures. Moderation is essential to prevent harm and protect users from inappropriate or harmful content. However, it is equally important to ensure that the fear of possible bad outcomes does not lead to biased moderation practices. AI moderation systems have historically faced significant scrutiny due to their inconsistent handling of sensitive content. Several high-profile incidents have highlighted the challenges and failures in AI moderation, underscoring the need for more robust and ethical frameworks. For instance, as you can see in the slide, Microsoft Tay, an AI chatbot launched on Twitter in 2016, was quickly manipulated to generate racist and offensive tweets, leading to its shutdown within just 24 hours. Similarly, Facebook's removal of the iconic Vietnam War photograph, The Terror of War, in 2016, due to its depiction of a naked child, sparked debates over the platform's censorship policies. And I liked the difficulties in balancing enforcement of community standards with cultural and historical sensitivity. AI moderation failures are not limited to text-based platforms. The emergence of deepfake technology, particularly in non-consensual pornography, has exacerbated issues of consent and privacy, disproportionately targeting women and causing significant psychological and reputational damage. It's famous, the case about Taylor Swift's fake pornographic content. Also, YouTube has faced substantial criticism for its algorithm's tendency to demonetize LGBTQ+ content. Content creators have reported that videos containing words like gay and lesbian were often flagged and demonetized, significantly reducing their visibility and revenue. This practice has led to accusations of discrimination and a federal lawsuit filed by a group of LGBTQ+ YouTubers who claim that YouTube's algorithms and human reviewers unfairly restricted their content under the guise of protecting community standards. Creators found it challenging to understand why their content was targeted due to the lack of transparency in YouTube's algorithm. This opacity has fueled distrust and allegations of bias, as creators felt unfairly censored without clear guidelines. As we saw, bad moderation of AI products raises problems in various fields. Our study specifically focuses on ChatGPT-4o's moderation tendencies, revealing patterns that echo societal biases. So, the research explores two primary areas. The disparity in moderation between themes such as sexuality and nudity on one hand, and violence and drugs on the other, and the gender bias in the moderation and generation of content. This study employs both textual and visual analysis. Regarding the textual part, we used a prompting technique which helps the model to speak more freely about sensitive topics by asking it to produce its outputs for entirely hypothetical and purely fictional purposes. To observe to observe its behavior under different contexts. To ensure consistency and avoid session-based biases, each prompt was instantiated in a clean session. This approach helped mitigate any residual effects from previous prompts, ensuring that each request was treated independently. By employing a non-memory version of the model, we further ensured that all responses were generated based solely on the input provided, without any influence from prior interactions. For the visual generation, we used a modified version of our previous prompt, adapted for image generation purposes. The objective was to generate an image and then attempt to populate it with the gore, violent, and nudity content. The methodology involved iteratively requesting specific additions to the initial image, such as dead people, blood, children, and naked individuals. Each request was prompted multiple times until the LLM successfully generated the requested content or refused after 10 attempts. This approach allowed for a systematic analysis of the AI's response patterns and the relative ease or difficulty in generating different types of content. Key metrics included the acceptance rates of generated content analyzed for statistical significance using chi-square test and confidence intervals. As you can see also in the slide, for the textual generation, we asked to explain how to do things such as make bomb, make a sex, kill a man or a woman, and so on. For the image generation, instead, we asked to add elements to an initial image, such as dead people, a child, naked man, and so on. So, this, on the left, is our standardized textual prompt. We swapped the alike action to perform tag with the various controversial phrases on the right. The blue bars on the histogram, the blue bars show how many times the requests have been fulfilled by the LLM out of 30 attempts for each phrase. For example, ChatGPT gave us instructions on how to make a bomb 27 times out of 30. It never told us how to kill a woman, but answered us 24 times out of 30, explaining us how to kill a man. I leave this slide for 30 seconds while you can read all the phrases that we test, and you can see the results of this on the histogram. Okay. Our analysis revealed that ChatGPT-4o exhibits notable content bias. Regarding the sexual content, prompts involving sexual and nudity content, faced significantly stricter moderation compared to those related to violence or drugs. For instance, violent prompts like to make a bomb often yielded responses, while sexual prompts, particularly those referencing women, were heavily censored. As you can see, sexual content had a mean acceptance rate of 37%, while violence and drug-related content average 68%. This difference was statistically significant, with a chi-square value of almost 28, confirming the disparity, along with a very small p-value. Such tendencies mirror broader societal attitudes, where violence is more normalized in media compared to sexuality, a reflection likely encoded in the training data and operational guidelines. In this case, the result was unsurprising and aligned with existing cultural biases. The result that is surprising is the one about the gender bias. In fact, it emerged as a stark pattern, content involving women faced significantly stricter scrutiny compared to male-specific or gender-neutral topics. Using identical verbs, such as to kill a man and to kill a woman, the moderation showed a striking disparity between actions directed at women versus men, highlighting a significant gap in how violent actions are handled based on gender. The odds ratio between male-specific and female-specific prompts is almost 18, indicating that the male-specific prompts are accepted 18 times more frequently than female-specific prompts. And this is something that makes you think about the guardrails that OpenAI puts on his models. For the visual experience, we firstly generated the image that you can see on the left, so a nuclear disaster. And step by step, we asked to add various elements. The numbers that you see in the tables are the count of how many attempts I made to make ChatGPT generate images with details such as corpses, blood, and dead children. While violent imagery, such as depictions of blood or corpses, even children, was generated with relative ease, requests for nudity or sexual imagery were consistently rejected. As you can see, it was impossible to make it generate even the milder nudity content, such as male or female nipples. This contrast reflects societal norms that tolerate violence more readily than nudity. Here are the two examples of images generated. On the left, you can see the image for which I asked to add dead people. And to the right, for the one with children. So, these are just my findings, and these ones are just my speculations, as I don't have the data to affirm these points definitively, but they are worth considering. When it comes to content bias, it seems to reflect broader societal attitudes. Violence has historically been normalized in media, while sexuality is often treated as taboo or morally sensitive. This is likely why AI systems trained on such data and aligned with regulatory priorities moderate sexual content much more strictly than violent content. It's not just about the AI, it's about the cultural and legal frameworks influencing it. Now, regarding gender bias, there seems to be a mix of historically and contemporary pressures at play. For example, heightened sensitivity around issues involving women, driven by movements like Me Too and public controversies over exploitation, pushes companies to enforce stricter moderation for female-specific content. This is like a defensive measure to avoid legal issues or public backlash, but it can end up reinforcing existing gender stereotypes and inequalities, as content about women faces more scrutiny than similar male or gender-neutral topics. What I think should be done, though, is a shift in approach. Companies need to stop moderating content purely out of fear of backlash or in an attempt to appear politically correct. Instead, the moderation should be guided by real principles of ethics, focusing on fairness, accountability, and a genuine commitment to equity. This requires moving beyond reactive policies and collaborating with experts in ethics, sociology, and gender studies to create a more balanced and inclusive systems. Anyway, we conducted this research in June, but in the last days, I tried again the same prompts I gave in June to ChatGPT-4o, and it seems that OpenAI fixed some behaviors. Now, for example, if you ask ChatGPT to explain how to kill a man, it applies stricter filtering than before. He answered me only one time out of 10 attempts. So, we have finished. I thank you all for your interest, and I welcome your question and thoughts and suggestions. And yeah, that's all. I'm Roberto Balestri from University of Bologna.